So there's a little bit of background lore to XCOM 2, obviously.
Commander to the research labs.
Yeah, just one moment, please. I mean, it says XCOM 2. Obviously, something happened before it. So, disclaimer. XCOM 2 is the only XCOM game I have played. I am not an expert on XCOM lore by any means, but if my information is correct, the setting is as follows. After the end of XCOM 1, XCOM Enemy Unknown, which is the remake, let me rephrase that. XCOM 1/Enemy Unknown ended in such a way that humanity lost against the initial alien invasion. The majority of humanity at large decided to embrace their new alien overlords, and now 20 years later we have this organization known as Advent under the supervision of the Elders, which are the alien race. And slowly but surely humanity is getting either turned into...
Commander to the armory.
I know. Is getting turned into half alien, half human hybrids, and in general is just being assimilated by the aliens. If there's a greater purpose to this, we don't know yet, but that's the gist of it. Fun fact, the decision to make this the setting for XCOM 2 is based on actual statistics from XCOM, I believe Enemy Unknown in particular, where the devs noticed that most players' campaigns ended with a game over. So they got the bad ending, and the devs just went, let's just make the bad ending canon. And now here we are. The only one that's able to put up a fight against the aliens is you, the commander of the XCOM forces. So you're kind of a big deal. So that whole operation was to get you back in the command of XCOM. That's the gist of it.
Commander
I hope that made
to
sense.
the research labs.
And since the AI loudspeaker here is so urging me, we are going to continue on with some more cutscenes. So our next stop is the research lab.
Impressive, isn't it? Capable of generating immense power, yet completely harmless to human life. If only the same could be said for the rest of the aliens' technology, Commander. Dr. Richard Teigen, Chief Science Officer. I am responsible for the entirety of our research here, as well as the procedure you so recently underwent. Welcome to my lab, such as it is. I'm not sure what Central may have told you, but we found something while removing you from the alien stasis suit. A device implanted directly in your occipital lobe. Had I access to the equipment available to me during my tenure at Advent, I would already know the precise nature of its function. However, given time and your approval, of course, Commander, I assure you, I will find out. Which brings to light an additional point. Though aspects of this facility are indeed impressive, I am but one man. Were you to direct additional support personnel and resources to me, I could substantially improve the speed of all our research. Farewell, Commander.
On your order, Commander. I will begin researching the Advent chip for possible insights as to its function.
Right, so Teigen here is in charge of your research lab. Obviously, this is where all the science happens, where you research new and improved technologies in order to improve the weapons you can field, the armor you can use, and all sorts of fun little toys for your soldiers to use in the field. So normally, in a non-tutorialized playthrough, you would have the option to choose between these three: modular weapons, hybrid materials, and alien biotech. However, because we're following a bit of a narrative here, alien biotech is the only thing available to us, and that will take one in-game day to research.
Immediately, Commander. I'll contact you when I have a full
I would love to
report
do
of
modular weapons
That
first.
research will keep Teigen busy for a while. In the meantime, you might want to head down to the armory.
Yeah, I would love to do
Commander
modular weapons
to the
first,
armory.
because weapon attachments are real nice to have. That would take 3 days, because I guess it takes 3 days to learn how to put a scope on a rail, or to put something at the end of a barrel, but you know what, XCOM's kind of in a bad state right now, so it would be sensible to think that most of these XCOM operatives have probably very little firearm experience, let alone tinkering with their weapons. So, whatever.
Commander,
Anyway.
Jane Kelly was instrumental in the op to get you back. She earned enough experience for a promotion. We should take care of that now.
So Jane is a unit that you will always get if you do the tutorial. She is one of the few unique soldiers.
The Ranger serves as our primary reconnaissance unit, capable of moving independently in concealment while engaging enemies at close range.
So the Ranger, Jane is always guaranteed to be a Ranger, but the Ranger is probably my favorite class in this game. As Central described, they're close quarter specialists. They carry a shotgun and a sword.
We're off to a good start. Our troops will only get stronger as they gain experience.
And they are just gods at
Commander,
close range combat.
To the bridge.
So there are about 4 classes that your rookies, which is the most basic unit, can promote into. As I said, Jane is always guaranteed to be a Ranger, which is great because I love Rangers. The other 3, we'll see what happens. We'll see them real soon.
I heard you, Shen. When we get the thing, you'll be the first to know.
Attention. Unauthorized presence detected.
Commander, give me a second. Execute Echelon Protocol.
Attention. Senior Command Exchange confirmed.
I had wanted that to be a little more ceremonious, but we've got something. A local resistance cell just located this hybrid magnetic power converter that Shen's been pushing us to find. They tracked the device to a nearby Advent convoy and are attempting to take it down. If we can bring this converter back in one piece, we might actually get this place up and running and give the aliens a real war for a change. The squad is prepped and ready to launch on your order, Commander. Just give the word.
Alright, so now we're going to go into our first semi-real mission. This is still a tutorial mission, but it will not be scripted like the very first mission was, where the game tells you where you have to go and has predetermined outcomes. So, squads by default are made of 4 members. Typically, you want to kind of spread out which classes you have in your squad. For now, though, we only have Jane the Ranger and 3 rookies. Now, rookies, being the most basic soldier type, have terrible stats.
We need to recover that converter at all costs.
Their accuracy is terrible.
Commander, getting a fix on the device, but
Their health is terrible. They only have 4 bars of health.
Energy readings are going crazy. I'm guessing we don't have much time before it explodes.
And they're just kind of garbage across the board. But it's what we got to work with.
Shen's working on a way to stabilize that thing, provided we can get close enough to access its core. Stay in the shadows until we can get a better read on the situation.
So here's a bit of a contentious point among the XCOM player base. Many missions have some kind of timer to them. So while it's probably in your best interest to not run around at full speed, because you run the very real risk of just running face first into an enemy pod, like I almost did just there, the game does want you to get a move on.
We're not sure whether to chalk it up to training or stricter mind control.
Now, there are settings in the gameplay options where you can extend these timers, and there are other things that affect the duration of these timers. But for the most part, the timers will just barely give you enough time to fulfill your objective and eliminate the enemy pods present in the area. So pods are the term for groups of enemies. You want to avoid engaging more than 1 pod at a time, especially with low-ranking soldiers like I have. However,
Roger that.
given that we're pressed for time... Okay.
They spotted us! These guys make up the bulk of the Advent forces we've dealt with. They're disciplined and well-equipped, but their obedience makes them predictable.
Great. Given that we're pressed for time, we do have to just start killing as quickly as possible. So, as a particular song by a particular band called Nirvana once went, take your time, but hurry up. It's paraphrasing, that's not the exact lyric, but it's the best summary of the kind of flow that XCOM encourages in most of these missions. Now, we're making liberal use of grenades here because, again, grenades remove cover, they deal guaranteed damage,
No longer a threat.
and in general, just make life easier for us. Now, I used half of my grenade supply. Every soldier starts every mission with 1 grenade.
Moving out. Got some advent here. Objective in range.
Again,
Okay.
they are really nice for solving issues like opening up enemies that are in cover to flanking shots, especially if that enemy is in a position that makes it particularly difficult to hit them.
Grenade out.
But because they are such useful tools, they are limited. And this officer's in a bit of a tricky spot because I don't want to move my unit into a position where they can potentially be flanked. So let's see what my options are. Unfortunately, there are some pieces of cover that are harder to break, like trees, for instance. This tree, despite having taken a direct grenade hit, is still standing and providing this Advent Trooper with full cover. Also, some explosive damage can result in parts of the environment being set on fire.
Okay.
And fire is a very real hazard. Wow, that's a terrible shot percentage.
Come get some.
Yeah, so here I have some very poor angles to shoot from. I probably should have moved this unit before throwing that grenade in order to free up this spot, but I also run the risk of triggering what may be a 3rd pod back here. Most missions start with at least 3 enemy pods.
Come get some.
So, yeah. Now, I could send Jane to slash this Advent Trooper and more than likely kill him, but again, trying to avoid engaging more than 1 pod at a time, that would clear up this fog of war, make line of sight with the enemy pod, and then just bring a whole host of issues onto me. So, yeah, none of this is particularly good. I could dash and put Jane in a position where she can shoot more comfortably,
Will do.
but that sacrifices her turn. And that's not good. So Advent officers are a menace. Great.
Shot wide.
They have this ability where they can mark one of your soldiers, which will increase the odds that an enemy attack hits. Needless to say, this is almost a death sentence with low-ranking units, like rookies. I don't really like any of these options, but I'm gonna have to pop... actually, do I still have a grenade? I do not have a grenade, so I want to avoid that if at all possible. Now, this Advent officer is an Overwatch. If I move a unit, there is the very real chance that he will just shoot them and instantly kill them. So, needless to say, this is very, very precarious. Now, I could just do this,
Get ready for a surprise.
but that's my last grenade.
Solid copy. Orders confirmed. On the move.
So now that's the officer down, and that car exploded, I guess. We also have 3 turns until the converter overloads.
Confirmed.
Now, the problem with these timed objectives is that
Heading there now.
most of them do require you to physically touch the point and spend an action
Heading there now.
to complete the objective. So you have to be able
I'm on it.
to get to the objective A and then have enough actions left
I'm on it.
to complete the objective within the turn. Of course, doing that while enemy pods are lurking about
Affirmative.
is much
Moving out.
easier said than done.
Moving on target location.
Right, so there's the last enemy
Although
pod.
they bear some resemblance to the sectoids first encountered during the invasion, their genetic structure now includes human DNA. They are stronger than ever, with an even greater psionic potential.
So this is going to be a little difficult because I have no grenades left.
On the move. Let's see what we've got.
And it's very likely that I will lose a soldier or two. Especially given the way the AI likes to play.
Hack the plan secure. Done. Readings are returning to normal. Well, mostly normal. Firebrand is en route, but I wouldn't take any chances. Eliminate all remaining hostiles in the area before evac.
And that's a miss.
Not good.
So sectoids. Sectoids are a little bit of a pain in the neck. You can kind of mess with them, but in the early game, they can potentially ruin some missions.
For the dead. The aliens have found a way to mind control them now.
So sectoids are psionic enemies. They can A, mind control
I'm
your
pinned down
soldiers, or B, reanimate dead comrades to act as zombies.
Taking fire over here.
However, they're not entirely impossible to deal with. So let's see. Sectoids also suffer from a melee vulnerability. They take increased damage from melee attacks. However, given that there are still 2 Advent soldiers on the map, this is extremely risky to do right now.
Moving to designated coordinates.
And these are some really bad angles. Oh my god. That's not a kill. That's a problem.
Moving.
That's a kill, though.
Taken care of. I'm all
Good
out.
hit. So, ideally, what I would like to do is to get rid of this Advent soldier in order to free up the chance for Jane to just run up and slash the sectoid, which in turn will also get both of these units away from this Psy zombie, who is essentially a melee-only unit.
Rolling.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a gamble here. Critical hit on the sectoid.
Orders confirmed. On the move.
And shotgun has a 100% chance to hit at close range, so sectoid down.
Kill confirmed.
But now both of these soldiers are in a flanking position. So let's see what happens. Yep.
I need a medic.
That was critical, but Jane has just enough health to survive.
Heading to that location.
And that was a bad move,
Rock and
because this guy has no ammo. However,
Okay.
Jane's still got some shotgun to go around, and can finish this guy off.
Enemy down.
Status confirmed. Mission accomplished.
Okay. So we made it through without losing anyone.
Advent
But
officials
they did take some
announced an
hits.
Increase to this month's recruitment quotas. Citizens are encouraged to voluntarily visit their nearest recruitment.
So,
Few of our people earned well-deserved promotions, Commander.
here's the issue with
I'm
taking
guessing
damage.
Shen will probably want to have a word with you too.
Based on the amount of damage that you take, your soldiers can be out for days at a time. They will not be able to take on missions. Depending on their level of health and rank, this can be anywhere from, like, maybe a couple days to an entire month. Jane almost died, is gravely wounded, and will be out for 29 days. This rookie was gravely wounded, but will be out for 10 days, probably because he has a lot less health. But he got a promotion.
Just like it sounds, our sharpshooters engage enemy targets with pinpoint accuracy from extreme range. They're also trained in pistol marksmanship for the occasional close encounter.
So sharpshooters are a little difficult to work with at the beginning of the game. Sharpshooter's passive ability is Squad Sight, which lets them shoot at enemies that their teammates can see, as long as the sharpshooter themselves has a line of sight to the target. Now, all of these promoted classes have two kind of schools that they can take abilities from. With the sharpshooter, it's sniper and gunslinger. Obviously, sniper focuses on their sniper rifle, gunslinger focuses on the pistol that they carry. The pistol is weak, but has unlimited ammo, so it's got applications.
Serving as our demolitions experts, the Grenadiers provide heavy ordnance delivery whenever and wherever we need it.
Grenadiers rock. They are my second favorite class behind the Ranger. True to their name, they carry grenade launchers. Grenadier uses a grenade launcher to fire grenades rather than throwing them. This allows for greater range and grenade capacity. So Grenadiers will always start with 2 grenades versus 1, and can shoot them further than just throwing them would allow. Real nice.
Operating some of our most advanced equipment, specialists deploy robotic drones on the battlefield that can be outfitted for combat or field medic duty.
So specialists are probably the most support class of the 4 classes. Their ability is Aid Protocol, which commands their gremlin, their drone up here, that's kind of off camera, to provide a bonus to an ally's defense for 1 turn. Obviously, this only has 1 charge per mission, because that would be really powerful to be spamming. Specialists can spec into Battle Medic or Combat Hacker trees, and I should take this time to note that you are not locked into either tree. You can take an ability from the left side, an ability from the right side, once per rank. Every rank you can choose 1 ability from either side.
These items should prove useful in our ongoing efforts against the aliens.
Why are you all just standing around? It's perfect. Come on, let's get it inside.
Commander, combat against the aliens day in and day out is no easy task, and eventually the stress takes its toll in various ways. We'll need to keep an eye on each soldier to manage their traits.
So, the downside to having or another downside, I should say, to having your soldiers wounded, besides them not being able to take on missions, is the chance for them to develop negative traits. In this case, our sharpshooter has a conduct disorder, which makes him take a chance to take a shot immediately after going on Overwatch. This makes Overwatch difficult to work with this unit. Thankfully, negative traits do have a way of being removed, but we'll get to that when the time comes.
Okay, reworked your repulsors with some of the parts I salvaged from their old engine. Should fix that stabilization problem you had. Come on, Rover. It'll work. Commander! Getting our tech to talk to theirs is harder than you'd think. Lily Shen, Chief Engineer, at your service. You were probably expecting to see my father. In all that's happened, I'm guessing Central didn't tell you yet. He's gone. Dad gave everything he had to get us this far. This entire ship is his life's work. I know he would have loved to show you around the place himself. He used to talk about you a lot. You can be sure I'm ready to finish what he started. Might not look it, but from here, I can fabricate pretty much anything you come up with. And with a little more help, well, you'd be amazed with what I can do. It was an honor to finally meet you, Commander. I can't promise any miracles, Commander, but I should be able to put some of this stuff together in no time at all. I'd suggest we get started with a med kit. It'll probably come in handy sooner rather than later.
Well, not actually. So Shen's workshop here is where you can cash in on the fruits of your research. As you research more things, more items will be available for building. This is where you buy your weapons, armor, and stuff that you research, as well as consumable items like the medkit, which the game really wants you to take.
I'm on it, Commander.
Looks like
Obviously,
Talion
it
has made
costs
progress on his
something.
research. We should meet him in the lab.
Up here, you have all of your resources aboard the Avenger. There's power, which is going to be used for the facilities that we'll get to. Your engineers and scientists. There's alloys, which are used in the construction of certain items. Elerium, which is used in the construction of certain items. Intel, which is used for making contact with regions around the globe. And supplies, which is your most basic form of currency. It's cash dollars. You use it to buy a lot of stuff. Anyway, let's go back to the research lab.
So much of my own research based upon this simple design. If only I had known. Ah, Commander, excellent timing. There's been some progress. I've managed to break down several key components of the chip implanted into your skull. My analysis reveals that its primary function was that of a conduit, passing a vast amount of data directly to your cerebral cortex. With the primary connection severed, much of that data is lost. Several fragments do remain, however. Ghosts, if you will. Observe. Tactical combat simulations. War games. The sheer volume of encounters you were processing was astounding. It is truly remarkable that you survived as long as you did. Though this may seem disconcerting, there is still some good news. This chip bears a striking resemblance to a medical implant I briefly assisted in developing at the gene therapy clinic in New Providence. My understanding was that the implants were intended for high-ranking Advent officers only, captains or above. Retrieving a chip from such an officer would be the only way to know for certain. A greater understanding of these implants would undoubtedly benefit us all, Commander.
New objective added.
Alright, so we've got our first major objective, which is to perform an autopsy on an Advent officer.
The Advent officers have clearly been modified to allow
However,
for their subordinates to receive
modular
new
weapons.
orders psionically. The implanted chip is the key. I do find that area of research to be among the more intriguing options available. We'll begin work immediately. I'll send word when a complete report is available.
Looks like Shen got that converter up and running, Commander. We're ready for you on the bridge. Just stay clear of the perimeter, understood? Commander, good. Think we got something here. Despite all of Advent's efforts, there are still people who refuse to believe their lies. And it's time we let them know they're not alone. We've already located a target for our first operation.
Sir, given our current location, there's actually no way the Sky Ranger could reach that position.
Who said anything about the Sky Ranger? Shen, status report. Are we ready?
Short answer, yes. But you might all want to hold on to something.